Now, El Paso History with Melissa Sargent and Jackson Polk.
Hey, we're live on the radio here today, January 29th, 2022. We made it to 2022, did we not?
Yes, we did.
And that voice
One
is
piece.
Melissa Sargent. Good morning.
Yes, good morning. Glad to be back.
We're talking, and welcome here. We're talking about Chinese people history in the El Paso and Juarez area. Live on KTSM AM 690, streaming live on YouTube and on Facebook, we think, right?
Yeah.
We are. I hear a thumbs up in there. And also on the page, Remember in El Paso When. And this is the place where we say Texas history begins in El Paso. And good morning, Melissa.
Good morning. And I'm glad to be back after touring several central cities of Texas. It's been really an interesting trip learning about some of the historic downtown preservations and the towns that are doing such a good job of preserving their old downtown and doing it and increasing the areas to live and tourism. It's amazing. And we also are promoting the radio show while we were down there. So we've hopefully got a lot of people that are listening today. Say hello to everybody in Central Texas. And we're telling them all about our show. And they thought it was a great idea. So
here we are.
Oh, and before I forget, and they're probably listening via ktsmradio.com where they can catch the show streaming live.
And also, history moment coming?
Yes, we do. We have one. It's about the Chinese who were persecuted in Mexico but fled north to El Paso during the Mexican Revolution.
Now, what a coincidence. That does happen to be the topic we're doing today,
Irony.
the Chinese history in El Paso and Juarez. And we have our guest this morning. We'll introduce her now as Anna Fahy. Good morning.
Good morning.
Welcome here.
Thank you.
What is your background to be a Chinese expert?
That's a long story.
We got 2 hours.
You got 2 hours? Okay. I literally got fascinated with the Asian culture when I was 6. I lived out in the boonies, and a neighbor down the roadway had a son that was in the Korean War, and he sent his mother a gift that arrived, and I was there when it arrived, and it was a beautiful Asian woman dressed in her traditional garb in one of those glass cases.
Yeah.
And I had never seen anything like that. I grew up in the lower Rio Grande Valley, and I was just fascinated.
But you don't have personal Chinese history in your family.
Nope.
So here you are in El Paso.
I'm here because I got fascinated by the culture. And then along the way, over the years, we came in contact. I could observe from afar, but my husband, at one point we lived in Topeka, Kansas, and he worked with a gentleman, and I knew his family, and the daughter was going into concert pianist realm, and we would go to competitions and got to meet them, and they were Chinese. And then we moved here.
And so now you have also taught some of these subjects in college?
Yes.
And where?
UTEP and EPCC at the Northwest Campus.
So now you're retired.
And Rio Grande Campus.
Okay. You're now a retired professor?
I retired in January. COVID hit in March. My timing was perfect.
Oh, yeah.
And I missed my students beyond
sure.
words and my peers.
Also, you do have a general presentation, and we do have a picture or two to put on the Facebook feed. So let's start it up. What do you want to talk about first?
Well, one of the things you mentioned is the current Chinese population in El Paso is very different than what it was. I mean, it's the largest majority of the immigration and the movement, and people making El Paso their home are coming out of Beijing and other more northern populations. But that's very different than the original. The original came out of predominantly, even now when you take statistics, most the heritage of the Chinese in the United States going back to the gold rush days is coming out of southern China. And even into the 1950s, 60s, 70s, 80s, 60 to 70% of the Chinese in the United States came out of southern China. And the Qing dynasty was falling apart. And people in the South were particularly starving to death. And that's going to be the case for a very long time. You mentioned Mexico and what happened in Mexico in the Mexican Revolution. But there had been people coming out of China that routinely would go into Mexico. And this is where they made their money and went back home. So this is how they could support their families. But with the Qing dynasty falling apart, the the Chinese Revolution brewing and going on, people were escaping. And the penalty for leaving China was decapitation if they caught you.
Oh.
But there's so many people leaving out of southern China that there's just no way for them to enforce these things. This had all been preceded by what commonly popularly is known as the Opium Wars, and there were multiple things that went over several years.
What years were you talking about here?
The big treaties that came about was in 1842, the Nanjing Treaty, and what it did is those wars were over opening up for trade, and the British substituted a stronger strain of opium, and it addicted more people.
Oh my!
Anyway, it just exacerbates the poverty.
Why'd
that's
they do
already
that?
going on. It's trade.
Oh.
And see, because China had their ports closed, so the 1842 Treaty of Nanjing opens 5 ports. Principally, one of them that's the largest outflow then is Canton and Hong Kong, and that's where people left and fled through.
We have a railroad question here. Is that
okay? The railroads.
How did that work out? Because most people think the Chinese in El Paso came from the railroad.
Well, initially they did.
Okay.
Initially, there were no Chinese in El Paso till the railroads started coming in.
We have a railroad picture, I do
we
believe.
surely do, and that's
number 2.
Yeah, number. I don't have word my list, but
that's okay.
But the issue there was even with the first transcontinental railroad. Now, what that is that appeared on January 1st, 1882. There were 5 railroads, either were in El Paso or descending on El Paso. And El Paso becomes, for the second transcontinental railroad, the connection. And most people don't realize that. The first transcontinental railroad that completed in 1869 in Promontory, Utah, the railroad companies had literally gone to China, as they did for the second one, and recruited workers. But there were a lot of people already here because they came in with the gold rush, and that opened up. That's when the Chinese,
California was populated.
Yeah, the California gold rush, and of course San Francisco became the main.
Yeah, because that was where they were coming in from.
That's right.
From the Pacific. Yeah.
Right.
And
now,
what about that decapitation thing? I mean,
there's too many people. They can't. The dynasty is crumbling.
Oh, at that point.
And they can't control it, and that's all part of it. But there was people who had been going to Mexico for centuries.
Oh.
And then going back. So it's kind of a different population. And of course, the folks that were in Mexico at the time of the Mexican Revolution got trapped because you have the Chinese Revolution starting on the heels of the Mexican Revolution. So there were people that were in Mexico that got trapped in between. And the freight lines, the steamship lines cut off transportation, so they couldn't go anywhere.
So they were
They couldn't go
Mexico.
anywhere. But they could flood into the United States if they could get here.
Well, what was one of the, you kind of get to that. Why were they persecuted though? I mean, they really didn't initially, apparently from what I understood, they cooperated against Pancho Villa or the Federales. I can't remember which side it was.
Well,
and that's how the reasons they had to leave, because they were killing them.
In droves. Literally. In droves.
Yeah.
One of the people that I have interviewed talked about his there was some kind of legal issue in the family. They had to leave China. The father and the son was 15, 16 years old. They came and they were looking in Mexico, and they found Juarez and decided that's where they could move the family to. But that young man watched the revolutionaries murder his grandfather.
Oh, my.
And it's just incredible that a 15-year-old then went all the way back to China and brought his mother and all his siblings back and established a home in Juarez.
Let's go to the picture business here. You've got who is Sam?
Sam Hing. Now, okay.
That's H-I-N-G.
He was an interesting character.
Sam Hing is a railroad contractor. And he is the person that literally knows the business. He is the go-to person between the Chinese 6 companies in San Francisco, Southern Pacific Railroad, which won the race to get to El Paso. One of the top people that ran Southern Pacific Railroad actually is the godfather of Sam Hing's first child that was born in El Paso, that was considered the first Chinese birth.
So who was Sam? I mean, besides, would he live here?
He came here. He made El Paso his home. He met his future bride in El Paso. They got married at her parents' home. She was from New Orleans. They built this incredible home.
Oh, it's amazing, the pictures. Yeah.
And it was just astounding. He is classified as the wealthiest Chinaman in the United States.
Where is that house? We're looking at it on Facebook.
He was considered the wealthiest Chinaman in the United States at that time.
In the United States.
Where is that house?
That's the McGoffin. McGoffin.
Street.
It's Park and see, I knew you would ask that. It's in McGoffin Park.
Historic
and I can't
district.
I want to say, but I know it's Park and intersects with Park. The actual address.
Now near the McGoffin home somewhere.
It's in that,
on
it's not-
McGoffin Street.
yeah, it's not far from there. And then things went south. There's a lot of myths about what happened there or didn't happen. Bottom line, regardless, he and his wife split. But whatever the split was, the child went with him. There's a lot of myths surrounding him that he was broke. He banked. No, he didn't. The railroads were completed here. He went to Mexico, Mexico City, and made another fortune and had another family.
He was a serious feature in El Paso history at that time.
Yes.
All right, we're going to take a break here at this point. Our guest is Anna Fahy. That's Fahy. And you have been studying Chinese, I guess, for quite some time.
Yes.
You said since you were a young kid.
Well, observing, studying seriously, I crunched down in 1995, and really dug in seriously to doing the research and learning about it. My husband was here ahead of me because I was at Topeka, Kansas, selling our home. And when I got here, he said, I have somebody you need to meet.
The way you went, huh?
And away I went. He worked with him, and he was another Chinese gentleman.
Has that been your major study in El Paso?
Yes, I've got 2 master's theses that I've written on it. One history, and then a second master's in sociology.
All right, with that, we're going to take a break.
Doctorate, right?
No.
Oh, you haven't got your...
That's another story.
All right, we're going to take a break here at this point. Anna Fahy is here, and we're talking about the Chinese history in El Paso, and it goes to various places. And it's not just railroads.
No.
It's not just railroads.
All over. It's
so here,
incredible.
taking a break here. We'll put the phone number up maybe in the second hour, and then we'll have people. Otherwise, take a look at Facebook. Comment there. You got some things going on?
Oh, gosh, a lot of people. Flamenco Jimenez, let's see, saying good morning, BGB.
Barbara Given, Bainey.
Yes, I know. Margie Benton's on. Let's see. Oh, Larry Kendrick from Las Cruces.
Well, we appreciate the people across
West
the country
Valley,
who do
West
find
Valley
us.
City, Utah.
And they do tune in,
Great
like
Valley
Utah, and I think we have a few like in North Carolina and places like that.
Yeah.
All right, fair enough. Taking a break here on the El Paso History Radio Show. Back in a moment. El Paso History TV is now available for free on YouTube.com. Take a look at recent ABC7 news reports by Bernie Sargent on El Paso History TV about Waco tanks, the Franklin Mountains, Concordia Cemetery, and more. The YouTube channel also has more than 100 videos about El Paso history with lectures, documentaries, and various history clips. Go to youtube.com/El Paso History TV and find out how Texas history begins in El Paso. Pepe's New Mexican Restaurant and Cantina serves the old Griggs Mexican food recipes in a new location at 6761 Doniphan Drive. Enjoy great New Mexican food with cold beer and the one and only margarita from the cantina. The managers and cooks from the original Griggs restaurant serve tacos, combination plates, and sopapillas. Get the best Mexican food in the valley at Pepe's New Mexican Restaurant and Cantina, 6761 Doniphan, near Loop 375. Call 877-2152.
Win $1,000.
No way.
Way.
No way. No way.
Oh, baby. Yes, way.
No way.
It's a grand in your hand. Listen every hour from 7 a.m. till 7 p.m. weekdays for your chance to win.
A grand in your hand is brought to you by Approved Autos. Drive out in your new ride in less than an hour. Choose from every make and model from their super clean, hand-picked inventory and get payments as low as $159 a month. Worried about your credit? Don't sweat it. If you got your license and you got a job, they smell a deal. The deals are sweeter at Approved Autos, 8498 Alameda.
Susan, it's so great to finally be able to get together again.
Oh, it sure is. And I really appreciate you picking up the bill.
I'm happy to. I've got the extra cash. Since we've all been driving so much more again, I've been using Get Upside, the free gas app that pays you cash back for every gallon of gas you buy.
Wait a minute. Are you saying you actually get paid cash when you buy gas with the Get Upside app?
Yes, up to 25 cents a gallon. Cash back every time I buy gas.
Does that actually add up to anything?
Some months I make $200 to $300.
Wow, that's serious extra extra cash. I'm downloading the free Get Upside app now.
Download the free Get Upside app now in the App Store or Google Play to save up to 25 cents a gallon when you buy gas. Use promo code FUEL for a 25 cents a gallon bonus on your first tank. That's up to 50 cents a gallon on your next fill up. You can cash out anytime to PayPal or an e-gift card for Amazon and other brands. Just download the free Get Upside app and use promo code FUEL for a 25 cents a gallon bonus on your first tank. That's code FUEL.
For my small bookstore to thrive, I can't just sell books. So I created a radio ad at iHeartAdBuilder.com to tell everyone about our author events, our story hours for kids, and our amazing lattes. Now we're busier than ever. I'd call that a success story.
A custom radio ad from iHeart Ad Builder is the fast, affordable way to drive customers to your business. Put the power of radio to work for you. Get started now at iHeartAdBuilder.com.
The El Paso History Show with Jackson Polk and Melissa Sargent is 10 a.m. this Saturday with UT El Paso, Bhutanese, and Centennial Museum History. The El Paso History Show is sponsored by Patrick Tuttle, Coldwell Banker Heritage Real Estate, Pepe's New Mexican Restaurant in Canutillo, Mission Del Rey Southwest, Keystone Heritage Park, and by M1EP Management Corporation, Saturday morning at 10 a.m. Now streaming on Facebook and YouTube and on News Radio 690.
Now may be the perfect time to buy a home financed by Loan Depot. Loan Depot has over 300 loan products to help you make home ownership a reality. Interest rates are near historic lows. Rates will not stay low forever. So call 866-888-LOAN so one of our thousands of loan officers can help you find the right loan. Call 866-888-LOAN or visit loandepot.com. Loan Depot. Rates are subject to change. Equal housing opportunity lender. NMLS number 174457. Licensed in all 50 states.
News Radio 690 KTSM.
And now let's turn back the pages of time and return to the El Paso History Show. Brought to you by Patrick Tuttle, Coldwell Banker Heritage Real Estate, 915-585-7777. Pepe's New Mexican Restaurant, 6761 Donovan Drive. By M1EP Management Corporation, 915-592-4549. By Mission Del Rey, 1421 Lee Trevino with El Paso souvenirs and gift shopping. By Keystone Heritage Park on Donovan Drive, 915-584-0563. Here again, El Paso History with Melissa Sargent and Jackson Polk.
You can get our weekly promos on Facebook these days, and that's where we keep them, El Paso History Radio Show. Also, the programs each week will be there archived. And also, we have a TV channel now to see free videos about El Paso history on YouTube. So you go to youtube.com/El Paso History TV. We have a series of El Paso Gold DVDs I produced for the last 2 decades, and they're on there. And it's interesting stuff, but it's also dated stuff. And so take a look at it, see what you think. But some of the history just doesn't change.
Yeah,
it's
just
there.
gets better, learning more and more.
Well, you can see more details there. Also, a series on ABC that we put out there called El Paso History TV, about 20 different pieces, and those are there as well. And then we're archiving these shows now there on Facebook. So there's a lot going on there. YouTube.com/El Paso History TV for the YouTube channel. What do you got?
Well, I was just thinking after our long trip on the road, I was could use a Pepe's Restaurant one and only margarita.
How about today?
Today, I think I might just have one, and some of their great food. I really did miss their food while we were gone. So next time you dine at Pepe's, order a margarita to enjoy with your meal, and you can also now get a container of the one and only margaritas to go. So head on over to Pepe's Restaurant located in Canutillo at 6761 Donovan Drive, and their phone number is 915-877-2152.
It was a promo in that last break for the radio show. It'll be next week. We're doing UTEP, UT El Paso history, along with the Bhutanese history of UTEP. There's quite a bit of that.
Another
that's a whole nother different Asian crowd here coming to El Paso.
Mongolian, yeah.
Anna Fahy is our guest this morning. We're talking about the Chinese history in El Paso. And we ask you to come in because you're the only person I know who has got some expertise in history and looking into this. I don't think the Chinese community itself maybe knows that much about its own history, but you do because you've checked into it. So what are your thoughts here? We have a next series of things coming up about a funeral.
Well, there's it's very
Oh, you want to
interesting.
take that address on real quick?
Oh yes, we were talking about Sam Hings Mansion they built. It was in the McGoffin area. It was at San Antonio and Park at 1208 East San Antonio.
I want to thank the Remembering El Paso Win people for putting that onto us.
Yeah, and it was torn down, demolished in about 1930, 32, somewhere in
And
there.
what's there now?
No, nothing.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, it's a
Last
shame.
time I drove by, there's still. It's just it's just open. It's
An
all gone.
amazing house. I think it was probably one of the biggest ones in El Paso. It looked like.
Yeah. Well, it was a mansion. It was large. It's several lots.
So
It's
we have
several lots.
a Chinese funeral here to
Yeah.
look at.
So what that photo is, it actually appeared in the newspaper about 1886 originally, and then they ran a rerun of it later. But that's out of the 1886 newspaper. Chinese funerals are very different. They are, and they used to. They don't do it that way now, but the processions were incredible. There's descriptions even here in El Paso, just magnificent. And they would be very loud. They would start from the temple that was downtown. It started in literally a corrugated steel 8x10 room. But they would take the altar out. They would have the ceremony. They would wind all up and down El Paso streets. McGinty's band would come out.
Wow.
With them.
Wow.
They would, and they make lots of noise. They'd throw shredded paper, which is so the evil spirits will be distracted and not go to the deceased person. They make it to the cemetery, or in this case downtown. But the cemeteries, people were buried downtown then. We didn't have a lot of things there.
And it's usually like a week-long service or ceremony, I guess, in the sense of different things.
When they get there, what they do is these people were poor, but they would roast a pig and all these incredible foods. There's an interesting article that's in the early teens about, they asked the young man that is considered the mayor of Chinatown, why you don't think the deceased is going to eat all this food, do it? And he had a very interesting reply. He says, do your dead relatives smell the flowers?
Yeah.
Yeah, fair enough.
So fair. And so that put a stop to that. But when you got there, then now what they do is they pass out candy, because it's to remind you of the bittersweetness of life.
Interesting.
It's really about it. And so this is a traditional Chinese funeral that was taking place, and somebody captured a photograph of it in downtown El Paso.
Amazing.
Looks like a lot of people there. What's that all about? You said that they all showed up?
That's
The whole community?
Yeah, the whole community. When they had these, El Paso participated. It was like a parade route. They're loud. There's music.
So what year would this have been?
1886.
Oh, okay. So at that point, there's not much else going on in El Paso. And if there's going to be an event like this, you might as well go take a look at it.
You would be surprised at what was going on in El Paso in 1886.
I think I would.
There's opera houses. There's music.
booming.
There's theaters. They used to bring stars in, if you will, by our today's standards, celebrities. And yeah, it was not. The railroads put El Paso on the map. It brought furniture, goods, clothing, fine china, furniture, people from every walk of life. The railroads brought in everything.
The East Coast and the West Coast all of a sudden could both get here.
That's right. Because what happened here is, for the first time, when the railroads got into El Paso and then they connected on in, this is the first time the nations connected north, south, east, west. And it's El Paso's the hub.
And El Paso, the connection south, of course, was Mexican lines.
And they're on that. They were on that initial list.
Did the Chinese build any railroads, as you were aware of, in Mexico?
Many. Sam Hing went on down. They hired him. Sam Hing was the person that they hired. Now, one thing interesting when you talk about the revolution and Chinese persecution in Mexico, and of course you have, but Sam Hing tried very hard to work with Porfirio Diaz to stop cruelty being committed. And this is before the revolution started, even, to stop the cruelty.
We're getting a notice here. We need to take a break here. We shall do that. We'll come back and talk about Concordia, because that's the next thing.
That's right.
That we have on your list here.
Good.
How are we doing, Melissa? People looking at us?
Yes, they are. We've got, let's see. I was trying to back up here. I had a
Andrew, you got some?
Oh, yeah. A lot of people chiming in. Al Lowe saying specifically, good morning from the Valley. Love to hear about the Hing family, that his grand uncle was Joseph Chow Hing from Canton.
Oh, yeah. And the Chinese and the Mexicans seem to mix quite a bit in culture and marriage.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Well, and that's
There were no
coming.
females initially.
Hey, I just want to say, anybody like the gentleman he just talked about, contact. I would love to sit down and visit with these folks.
How do you want to have them contact you?
I guess.
There's the catch.
It's up to you.
You want them to call you or email you?
Well, if they're listening now, they can call the radio station.
Yeah, and give me the contact information, and then I can give them a call.
That would be 915.
That'd be the easiest, yeah.
Yeah.
The number to call to talk to or leave a message about yourself.
915-544-5876 or 915-544-KTSM.
And with that, we'll take a break.
Many retired El Paso area homeowners don't know where to begin when it comes to downsizing and selling their home. Patrick Tuttle and his Legacy Home team follow a proven process to help retired homeowners sell faster and for more money. Call Patrick Tuttle at 915-588-1850 today and get your home sold faster and for more money. That's Patrick Tuttle at 915-588-1850. Call him today.
M1 EP Management Corporation is proud to sponsor the El Paso History Show. If you're tired of the ups and downs of the stock market, invest in real estate. M1 EP manages apartments in El Paso and helps investors buy, hold, and sell property. See the website, m1ep.com. M1ep.com. To learn more about the many benefits and long-term appreciation of investing in real estate, call Certified Property Manager Mike Baca, 915-592-4549. 915-592-4549.
This is Michael David from Seattle. I'm 51 years old, and 6 months ago, I started taking Andro 400 to increase my testosterone. Since then, I've lost 35 pounds of fat, and my waist went from size 38 to size 32. I have more energy, and I look and feel 20 years younger. And now my wife tells me I have to take Andro 400.
Hi, this is Ron Johnson from Utah. After 10 weeks of taking Andro 400, I lost 13 pounds, and my waist went from 36 to 33. That was 8 years ago. I continue to take Andro 400, and I've maintained my weight at 172. Gained muscle and energy. I'm 63 now and feel better than I have in 30 years.
Andro 400, the natural way to increase testosterone, lose belly fat, gain energy, and feel great. Try Andro 400, the safe, effective, affordable way to boost your testosterone. Go to andro400.com or call 888-400-0435. 888-400-0435.
Embark on a deep dive into the case of the infamous Green River Killer on the Shadow Girls podcast. Join Carolyn Osorio as she re-examines the 20-year investigation of the brutal slayings of 49 young women, uncovering never-before-heard audio and a long-buried secret.
Imagine you're this young girl and you're on the street. A guy come up, you jump in, you drive off, you disappear into the night.
Listen to the Shadow Girls on the iHeartRadio app or wherever you get your podcasts.
Happy New Year, El Paso. This is Ivan Ochoa, General Manager from Sunland Park Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram Fiat. Thank you, El Paso and surrounding areas, for helping us have a record-breaking year. As a gesture of gratitude, we're offering 0 down, 0 APR for 72 months, no payments for 90 days, and exceptional trade-in offers for any trade.
Keep your cash and save thousands with record-breaking price cuts during the Start Something New sales event going on now at Sunland Park Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram Fiat. 2022 Ram trucks, huge selection, huge savings. Save thousands in interest with 0 APR for 72 months on 2021 Jeep Grand Cherokees, Dodge Charger, and Durango SUVs. Looking to save thousands on your next car, truck, or SUV? The all-new Sunland Park Dodge Certified Pre-Owned Supercenter has a great selection with more arriving daily. All military personnel and all first responders receive an additional discount. Thank you for your service. Sunland Park Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram Fiat. Where buying a car is still fun at I-10 at Sunland Park Drive or online at sunlandparkdodge.com. Estamos en tu esquina, El Paso strong. Includes factory rebate and dealer discount plus TTNL. 0 APR is $13.89 per thousand finance. All select vehicles with approved credit. Offers not combined.
This is a crime alert from James Finch, former Assistant Director of the FBI's Cyber Crimes Division.
Your home's title is the only document that proves you own your home. And now, cyber criminals are able to forge our names off our home's title and claim they own it. It's a nightmare crime. Watch a video of a former cyber thief who now trains police, show how it's done, and how Home Title Lock could have stopped him. Visit HomeTitleLock.com/radio. HomeTitleLock.com/radio.
Most of the time, traffic is pretty good. But
But there are times when traffic can be pretty bad. No, I mean like really bad. Almost, but more like an asteroid's gonna hit the city and everyone's trying to get out of town at once and nobody's car is moving and people are running down the highway clutching their kids and whatever belongings they can grab. Yep, now you got it. It's times like these you need your severe traffic station.
Traffic and weather all day. Stay informed with El Paso's News Radio 690 KTSM. News Radio 690 KTSM El Paso.
And now let's turn back the pages of time and return to the El Paso History Show. Brought to you by Patrick Tuttle, Coldwell Banker Heritage Real Estate, 915-585-7777. Pepe's New Mexican Restaurant, 6761 Donovan Drive. By M1 EP Management Corporation, 915-592-4549. By Mission Del Rey, 1421 Lee Trevino with El Paso souvenirs and gift shopping. By Keystone Heritage Park on Donovan Drive, 915-584-0563. Here again, El Paso History with Melissa Sargent and Jackson Polk.
We are here. We're talking on the radio about Chinese history with Anna Fahy. And we got a couple of quick announcements for you. Just to let you know, Celebration of Our Mountains is out there doing all kinds of tours. Get a hold of Jim Talbert, and he is available at www.celebrationofourmountains.org. You've got a great schedule there. Lots going on there with that stuff. 915-525-7364. That's Celebration of Our Mountains. What do you got?
And you've got Monterey Asset Management, who's one of our sponsors, and they've changed their name to M1 EP Management Corporation, and the principal certified property manager is Mike Baca. You can visit their website at numeral1 ep.com and or give them a call at their office at 915-591-3303 to learn more about their services. And then call this number, 915-588-1850, to talk to Patrick Tuttle of Coldwell Banker Heritage Real Estate. Patrick is a top producing realtor and is the person to go to buy, sell, or rent a home. So call Patrick Tuttle today at 915-588-1850.
He's good people. He knows what he's doing in El Paso real estate, and he can take you and your rental or your sale and do wonders for you. All right. Talking about the history of Chinese people in El Paso, we talked about the funeral. And in the old days, you said the funeral that we had a picture of, that was going on in downtown El Paso, and maybe the burial was somewhere in downtown El Paso. Mm-hmm. Any idea exactly where?
I have tried to make out, there's advertising on the side of the building, and if you go downtown El Paso today even, and you look on the side of some of the old buildings, you can still see where advertised. Those things are still there, unless they've been covered over, but I haven't been able to make it out.
But somewhere downtown.
It's downtown.
Okay. Yeah, and that's all been built over, and who knows where that was.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Then it all began to move out toward the Concordia Cemetery. We have a couple of drone shots of that are very interesting to look at, and you can see it's a walled section there.
See, and what's interesting, and when we look at the history of Concordia Cemetery, and for those that don't know, Concordia is 5 separate cemeteries that are all managed in when we refer to Concordia. This is the only Chinese cemetery in the state of Texas. And also, as you know, there's a wall around it. It's enclosed, and those gates, the gate is just absolutely incredible. That's the first walled section. Concordia didn't have a wall around it. And there was a gentleman years ago that was in the Concordia Association, talked about he grew up as a child across the street from the cemetery, and they'd wait till the Chinese finished their funeral and left, and they'd all run across the street to get the food.
Did you do what?
Eat the food.
Yeah, because
grab the food.
They left the food on the grave.
There's still the remnants of a funerary, and also an area like a small, looks like a table, but that was the
no, that's something entirely different. Yeah. But it does have an incense burner, which also a lot of the Chinese cemeteries don't have. Well, this all came about. It was Judge Leahy and his wife. They had in 1883 they had rented part of that area out to Chinese to grow grapes for him, and it was shipped east at 6 cents a pound.
Wait a minute. You mean the cemetery was supposed to be doing grapes?
No. It's not a cemetery yet. Judge Leahy and his wife rented the land out to Chinese to grow grapes. And then the Leahys were shipping them out even back east with the railroad now,
Right.
6 cents a pound. This was in 1883. But then we're going to come along, and one of the things they did was they finally decided that the cemeteries, the Chinese in the community needed a place to be able to bury their own. This is not segregation. This was part of them being able to be at liberty to bury people without having to go through this is who owns this lot, etc. And so it was in 1886, or actually October 29th, 1885. The gentleman was Li Ching Kong.
Spell that.
Lee, L-E-E.
Yeah.
Ching, C-H-I-N-G. Kong, C-O-N-G.
That's what I want. Kong, C-O-N-G. Okay.
And he is, as the representative for the Chinese community, the Leahy sold him the property for $100. And I've heard more people say, oh, he just gave it to him. Well, in 1885, $100 wasn't giving something away.
No.
Okay.
A lot of money then.
That's a lot of big bucks.
It's just over an acre. And that all really starts becoming developed into a cemetery in 1886, late 1886.
You're talking about Concordia.
Concordia.
So it originally was growing grapes?
Yeah.
Huh.
Well, it was farmland and a ranch land.
Okay.
Before, it's all part of that history of that.
I never heard
area.
that one.
You didn't know that.
Well, most of what I do here on the radio show is bringing people, tell me stuff I don't know. So asking questions about it,
That's great.
I don't know.
That's great.
I'm just a journalist. I'm not really an historian, so I do the best I can.
Two other little tidbits. So the walls do go up. There's the two gentlemen that built that wall and made those incredible gates are both buried there. They messed up one gentleman's name on his headstone, but it was a Mr. Ma D. Bing, B-I-N-G, and Mr. Wu Gim Singh. Both are buried there. Mr. Ma's name, they got the M upside down, and they put him in. His headstone says Wah, W-A-H.
We got some pictures of those headstones.
Yeah. So what you're looking at there is those. This is what they had to go to because of the heavy vandalism at the cemetery. Extensive vandalism. So those writings literally are the person's name, where they were born, what part of China they came out, what was their home village is. It's a little bio, if you will, of the individual. Okay. There was a transition that goes on. We were talking about Mr. Benny Wong earlier, and I know when he walked me through so much of this, and he just says, what a heavy blanket to have to wear into eternity. A concrete slab. But
I see.
So, as we go through, you can see what's some of the difference. Some of these little flat ones, you can see they've gone and it's repaired. Then like that one, see that it's been repaired. So it's been put down. And now you can start seeing evidence where there's vandalism and people have torn things apart. Family still goes out and puts flowers or some kind of recognition on the headstones. And there's one little fragment that was beautiful. It looks like it was made out of marble. And I started tracking it and making photographs. And when I take my students out every year, one of the assignments is somebody took my camera and go and document changes over the year. And none of that exists anymore. It's all gone.
Is it still being used as a cemetery by the Chinese?
It is still an active cemetery, okay? It is still an active cemetery. But that's what caused them to have to go to this flat, because they talked about every week they get calls for somebody who says, well, somebody's stolen a headstone. When you walk in that gate that entered to that whole right side, when I first started going out there were headstones all through that. And they're all gone.
Yeah,
they're all stolen.
Yeah. Well, now they have security there.
Yeah, now we get
on
security.
a heavy basis.
And there was a lot of desecration throughout the cemetery. Anything that people thought was unique or good, they would take up, and they're actually reselling these things. There's actually a market out there for gravestones.
And you can see in this picture here, the walled area here and the rest of Concordia around it. That's kind of the middle.
Well, it's
Sort
kind of it's not too far when you go in the side street there. You go into the middle and hang a left, so it's kind of off center.
They happen to be right next to John Wesley
I was just going
Hardin.
to say, across from John Wesley Hardin. And then the
Hardin.
Mormon section is on the outside wall that runs on the south side.
Yeah. So Mr. Ma died shortly after completing that wall. And Mr. Wu, I understand, was a martial arts specialist in El Paso and did not pass away till 1978.
Wow.
And then here, just a few years back, maybe 20 years at this point, somebody tried to steal those iron gates.
Oh, my.
And that was Mr. Benny Wong went in because I guess they hooked up to a pickup, I don't know, and tried to pull them off. And so they damaged but didn't destroy them. And he's the one that then, with him through, whether it was him personally or through the Benevolent Society, and repaired them. And then here 2-3 years ago now, we had in preparing for one of the annual walkthrough, we had a young man making deliveries that thought that archway went someplace else and drove through it and took out the arch. So but that has all been now repaired. And unless you know what happened, but it happened the night before, and I got out there with my students and we could do nothing. Because what I did is I would take my students and have them learn about the different aspects in the history of the cemetery and help guide people through and give tours. And so all we could do is sit there and visit. We could sit there and visit. But it's quite an interesting history. People come in and say, oh, it's empty. No, it isn't. The cemetery is full. Just because you can't see a headstone does not mean that there's no burials there. There's a lot.
Fair enough. We're going to take a break here at this point. Here we got Anna Fahy is talking about the Chinese history. And you personally don't have Chinese in your background, but you find it fascinating.
I have always found it fascinating. The culture, the people, the dialects.
Can you speak any of those languages?
Of course not.
Oh, okay.
And I'll describe to you why I can't in a few minutes if we.
Fair enough. After the break. All
after
right.
the break.
All right, we take a break here. Anything going on we need to know about?
Yes, we have Lori Curran Ainsworth, one of these people that was at the meeting I was at this last weekend. She's saying good morning from Lori Ainsworth. Nice to see you last weekend, Jackson. Oh, nice to see you, Jackson. That's not the same person. Enjoy your show. Do you know Lori Ainsworth?
Sounds familiar.
Okay, they're saying hello. And we had a gentleman who has a question, which we'll go into after probably the next hour, about family.
Fair enough. Taking a break here on the El Paso History Radio Show. And you can find us on Facebook, El Paso History Radio Show. What a coincidence.
Hey.
And by the way, I just want to thank Mr. Andrew J. Polk in the control room. He is Monday through Friday, 4 to 6 p.m. doing Talk El Paso. And he has a bell. And every time you hear that bell, some radio guy died. No, an angel died. What happens? A radio guy turns into
wings.
An angel. A radio guy gets their wings. Is that it?
There
Fair
you
enough. It depends on which movie you watched over Christmas. Fair enough. All right, taking a break. And Andrew, thanks for all your help in there. And you have another assistant nowadays called Montse.
Yeah, new Montse. Hello.
Did I say that right?
Welcome.
Thank you very much for both of you being here. All right, back in a moment on the El Paso History Radio Show. El Paso History TV is now available for free on YouTube.com. Take a look at recent ABC7 news reports by Bernie Sargent on El Paso History TV about Waco tanks, the Franklin Mountains, Concordia Cemetery, and more. The YouTube channel also has more than 100 videos about El Paso history with lectures, documentaries, and various history clips. Go to youtube.com/El Paso History TV and find out how Texas history begins in El Paso.
First, we decide where we want to go. Then we need to know the best way to get there. Hi, my name's Adam Barada. I'm the owner of Advantage Gold. We're the highest rated precious metals firm in the country. We teach people how to own physical gold and silver. Now, we've won the Best of TrustLink Award 4 years in a row because we educate our clients on how to buy gold and silver the right way. We don't pay celebrity spokespeople millions of dollars. We'd rather pass that value on to you. Call 800-900-8000 and speak with one of our experts. We'll send you a free gold kit along with my latest #1 national best-selling book, The Great Devaluation. Call 800-900-8000. That's 800-900-8000. Get the best information, the best process, the best service, the best value. Call Advantage Gold at 800-900-8000. Call 800-900-8000.
We've lost so many people to COVID. So many moms and dads, favorite uncles, older sisters, and best friends. But vaccines can help prevent severe illness and death from COVID. So now almost all COVID deaths are preventable. And so are the broken hearts they leave behind. We can do this. Find COVID vaccines near you at vaccines.gov. Paid for by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
Staples has the tech and tools you need to take on the future of work. This week at the Lenovo IdeaPad 5i with Intel i5 processor for just $549.99. You save $108. In-store only. Offer ends 1/29/22. Limit 2. Staples, the working and learning store.
We all have our favorite podcasts. We listen day and night. Now, iHeartRadio is celebrating the best in podcasting. Our 2022 iHeartRadio Podcast Awards are coming this Thursday. Join Will Ferrell, Jenna Fisher, and Angela Kinsey, Bowen Yang, Martha Stewart, Paris Hilton, Bethany Frankel, Wilmer Valderrama, and many more as we honor the brilliant storytelling and inspiring conversations behind the podcasting explosion. So wonderful. Watch live exclusively on iHeartRadio's YouTube channel and Facebook page, and listen on iHeartRadio Thursday night at 9.
Hey, hon, what you doing with your phone? Do flowers have best friends? I don't know. Hey, look. Whoa.
Some answers can only be found in nature. Discover the unsearchable. Visit discovertheforest.org to find a trail near you. Brought to you by the United States Forest Service and the Ad Council.
El Paso's News Radio, 690 KTSM.
And now let's turn back the pages of time and return to the El Paso History Show. Brought to you by Patrick Tuttle, Coldwell Banker Heritage Real Estate, 915-585-7777. Pepe's New Mexican Restaurant, 6761 Donovan Drive. By M1EP Management Corporation, 915-592-4549. By Mission Del Rey, 1421 Lee Trevino with El Paso souvenirs and gift shopping. By Keystone Heritage Park on Donovan Drive, 915-584-0563. Here again, El Paso History with Melissa Sargent and Jackson Polk.
Jackson here talking about a couple of quick things. Rick Kern has history in El Paso on music. His music podcast is called Talkin' Rock Radio. Go there, talkinrockradio.com.
Well, Mission Del Rey has just knocked out some walls in the store to add a new alpaca room featuring soft plush alpaca blankets, capes, shawls, and throws and cold weather items like hats and scarves. And also, if you're looking for a bargain, then visit the clearance section, which also includes scratch and dent items as well as closeouts. You can shop online at missiondelrey.com or visit the 12,000 square foot store located at 1421 North Lee Trevino Street, Suite A7. And it's near Pelicano and Lee Trevino. And don't forget to mention you heard this on the El Paso History Radio Show and receive a discount on your purchase.
Need to get some of that stuff out there. You did buy a sweater, you said.
Yeah, I got my sweater. I didn't bring it in today. I should have. It's a nice.
It's a good day for a
kept
sweater.
Me warm.
In El Paso, and I got to tell you, even though we think it's cold here, you look at people in the other parts of the country more.
Oh, it was cold where we were at, and I'll tell you that thing
not-
kept me warm.
Not like what New England's doing and that kind of crap. Oh my
It was
God.
balmy compared to New England.
Anna Fahy's here talking about Chinese history. Anna, we got just a couple of minutes now in this segment. We had a question to clarify. When did the Chinese population arrive in El Paso? And your answer would be
1880. In 1880, the railroad, Southern Pacific specifically, was approaching El Paso. One of the things you have to think about with the population is El Paso was just a little sleepy town. We had maybe a couple hundred residents here. The closer the railroad came, the higher the population went. It skyrocketed. But when we did it, this historic Sanborn maps, and it took me it didn't dawn on me for the longest time. I was so excited to find out the information. But they were drifting in large enough numbers that they had in 1880 already established a resident hall where these men were coming in and were living. and to the population number that they actually also had a very large Chinese grocery, which is kind of a little bit like a little bit of everything, serving them, even though the railroad does not actually roll into May of 1881. So they're already here in 1880. They are coming in the closer the railroads approached. So we went from like 200 to within a few months to 800. And by the time the railroad actually rolled into town, El Paso's population was 1,500.
So a lot of these people were coming on the train, but then taking a stagecoach into El Paso.
Well,
or walking.
Walking.
Yeah.
These Chinese aren't taking any stagecoaches. They're walking.
And that's also at the end for a lot of the railroad workers. This was the end of the rail, I guess, if you want to say, end of the road in some cases. But some cases, though, wouldn't it have been because they had stopped?
No. What?
Well, I mean, because you had the other train already coming in from the west, and this is where they came. And perhaps some.
So what's your answer? You say no.
No. That's one of the myths, is they were abandoned.
Oh, no, not abandoned, but decided to stay here.
Well, there's always people that are tired of doing that because they've been working on the railroad since they left California. It's a tough life.
Yeah.
It's a tough life. The Chinese were segregated by the railroads. They had different camps than the others, but Southern Pacific was predominantly the Chinese.
Yeah.
And what was the other one?
Not too many others. You know, it's not like the first transcontinental railroad when they had the Irish coming in with one railroad and the Chinese with another. But here, there's still a few, but they had their own camps.
So one was Chinese. What was the other one?
Just whoever.
A mix of people.
But and they drifted on in and started finding things. You know, you're living out of your reserves, and if you can come in and you can actually have more food, you're good.
Anna Fahy, thank you for being here. We got another hour to go. We'll talk more about Chinese history in El Paso. We'll get into dialects after the start of the second hour. All right, back in a moment on the El Paso History Show. Thank you for joining us. See you next hour. Are you going to be here, Melissa?
Yes, I shall be here.
You're going to be here.
I'm going to stay here. I'm not getting in the car for a while.
Yeah, but you got to hear the news.
Yes.
Here comes the news. Thank you.
Thank you for listening to the El Paso History Show. There's another hour to go, so please stay tuned. This hour is brought to you by Pepe's New Mexican Restaurant, home of the one and only margarita. By Patrick Tuttle, Coldwell Banker Heritage Real Estate, 915-585-7777. By Keystone Heritage Park on Donovan Drive. By M1 EP Management Corporation, 915-592-4549. By Mission Del Rey, 1421 Lee Trevino, with El Paso souvenirs and gift shopping. We'll be right back after the news, right here on News Radio 690 KTSM El Paso.
iHeartRadio Earth knows small changes can make a big difference. Want to reduce your food waste? Embrace your freezer. From bread to meat and even cheese, most foods can be frozen and cooked later. Plus, a full freezer uses less electricity. Brought to you by iHeartRadio Earth and the National Environmental Education Foundation. To find more tips for smarter, sustainable living or to take action in your own community, go to iHeartRadio.com/Earth.
Happy New Year, El Paso. This is Ivan Ochoa, General Manager from Sunland Park Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram Fiat. Thank you, El Paso and surrounding areas, for helping us have a record-breaking year. As a gesture of gratitude, we're offering 0 down, 0 APR for 72 months, no payments for 90 days, and exceptional trade-in offers for any trade.
Keep your cash and save thousands with record-breaking price cuts during the Start Something New sales event going on now at Sunland Park Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram Fiat. 2022 Ram trucks, huge selection, huge savings. Save thousands in interest with 0 APR for 72 months on 2021 Jeep Grand Cherokees, Dodge Charger, and Durango SUVs. Looking to save thousands on your next car, truck, or SUV? The all-new Sunland Park Dodge Certified Pre-Owned Supercenter has a great selection with more arriving daily. All military personnel and all first responders receive an additional discount. Thank you for your service. Sunland Park Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram Fiat. Where buying a car is still fun at I-10 at Sunland Park Drive or online at sunlandparkdodge.com. Estamos en tu esquina El Paso strong. Includes factory rebate and dealer discount plus TTNL. 0 APR is $13.89 per thousand finance. All select vehicles with approved credit. Offers not combined.
Mass Mutual knows retirement can be in
EP.com. M1 EP.com. To learn more about the many benefits and long-term appreciation of investing in real estate, call Certified Property Manager Ray Baca, 915-592-4549, 592-4549.
Here's the deal. When you combine State Farm home and auto insurance, you save an average of $889. State Farm agent Ralph Dickerson is ready to help you combine home and auto and save here in El Paso. Call 915-581-0000 today. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. Average annual per household savings based on a 2019 national survey by State Farm of new policyholders who reported savings by switching to State Farm.
You are listening to a break in our Facebook streaming of the El Paso History Radio Show, which airs live on KTSM AM 690 in El Paso, Texas, and live with video right here on our El Paso History Radio Show page on Facebook.com. Our live streaming on Facebook started on November 21st, 2020, with our tribute to Leon Metz, which you can now listen to here on our Facebook page, El Paso History Radio Show. Scroll down our page to find that archive in our videos section. You are listening to a break in our Facebook streaming of the El Paso History Radio Show, which airs live on KTSM AM 690 in El Paso, Texas, and live right here now on our El Paso History Radio Show page on Facebook.com.
Visit Mission Del Rey Southwest for a huge selection of El Paso souvenirs and gifts. Mission Del Rey features El Paso saddle blanket products and thousands of Southwest, Western, Native American, and Mexico items for gifts and decor. Bring your friends and mention you heard us on the radio for a store-wide discount. Mission Del Rey Southwest, 1421 Lee Trevino. Enter on Pelicano. Go to missiondelrey.com or call 915-440-2140 for Mission Del Rey Southwest.
This radio show is now streaming on the Facebook page, Remember in El Paso When, run by Barbara Given Bainey. We still archive the audio of these radio shows on ephistory.com. And you can go there online and find our radio shows for the last several years. Go to ephistory.com and access the El Paso History Radio Show archives for every Saturday radio show back to early 2016.
Many retired El Paso area homeowners don't know where to begin when it comes to downsizing and selling their home. Patrick Tuttle and his Legacy Home team follow a proven process to help retired homeowners sell faster and for more money. Call Patrick Tuttle at 915-588-1850 today and get your home sold faster and for more money. That's Patrick Tuttle at 915-588-1850. Call him today.
El Paso History TV is now available for free on YouTube.com. Take a look at recent ABC7 news reports by Bernie Sargent on El Paso History TV about Waco tanks, the Franklin Mountains, Concordia Cemetery, and more. The YouTube channel also has more than 100 videos about El Paso history with lectures, documentaries, and various history clips. Go to youtube.com/El Paso History TV and find out how Texas history begins in El Paso. Monterey Asset Management is proud to sponsor the El Paso History Show. If you're tired of the ups and downs of the stock market, maybe you should invest in real estate. Monterey Asset manages apartments in El Paso and helps investors buy, hold, and sell property. See the new website, m1ep.com, m1ep.com. To learn more about the many benefits and long-term appreciation of investing in real estate, call Certified Property Manager Ray Baca, 915-592-4549, 592-4549.
Here's the deal. When you combine State Farm home and auto insurance, you save an average of $889. State Farm agent Ralph Dickerson is ready to help you combine home and auto and save here in El Paso. Call 915-581-0000 today. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. Average annual per household savings based on a 2019 national survey by State Farm of new policyholders who reported savings by switching to State Farm.
You are listening to a break in our Facebook streaming of the El Paso History Radio Show, which airs live on KTSM AM 690 in El Paso, Texas, and live with video right here on our El Paso History Radio Show page on Facebook.com. Our live streaming on Facebook started on November 21st, 2020, with our tribute to Leon Metz, which you can now listen to here on our Facebook page, El Paso History Radio Show. Scroll down our page to find that archive in our videos section. You are listening to a break in our Facebook streaming of the El Paso History Radio Show, which airs live on KTSM AM 690 in El Paso, Texas, and live right here now on our El Paso History Radio Show page on Facebook.com.
Visit Mission Del Rey Southwest for a huge selection of El Paso souvenirs and gifts. Mission Del Rey features El Paso saddle blanket products and thousands of Southwest, Western, Native American, and Mexico items for gifts and decor. bring your friends and mention you heard us on the radio for a store-wide discount. Mission Del Rey Southwest, 1421 Lee Trevino. Enter on Pelicano. Go to missiondelrey.com or call 915-440-2140 for Mission Del Rey Southwest.
This radio show is now streaming on the Facebook page, Remember in El Paso When, run by Barbara Given Bainey. We still archive the audio of these radio shows on ephistory.com, and you can go there online and find our radio shows for the last several years. Go to ephistory.com and access the El Paso History Radio Show archives for every Saturday radio show back to early 2016.
Many retired El Paso area homeowners don't know where to begin when it comes to downsizing and selling their home. Patrick Tuttle and his Legacy Home team follow a proven process to help retired homeowners sell faster and for more money. Call Patrick Tuttle at 915-588-1850 today and get your home sold faster and for more money. That's Patrick Tuttle at 915-588-1850. Call him today.
El Paso History TV is now available. Second hour of the El Paso History Show. We started with the El Paso History Moment, produced by Melissa Sargent for the El Paso History Alliance page. And her story today is an overview about Chinese in El Paso.
Chinese immigrants settle in El Paso and Juarez. Shortly before the completion of the Southern Union Pacific Railroad in 1881, many Chinese arrive in open laundries and restaurants. Others farm along the Rio Grande, selling their crops to local markets, making this one of the largest Chinese communities in Texas. Then the Mexican Revolution erupts and Chinese are not looked upon favorably in Mexico. General Pershing brings back hundreds of Chinese to the United States from Mexico for their protection. They were allowed to immigrate when General Pershing personally petitioned Congress. Today's Chinese El Pasoans continue to maintain a sense of community in the city they helped to develop. More history next week on El Paso History Moments. I'm Melissa Sargent for the El Paso History Alliance.
And the Alliance is?
And the Alliance, I would sound asleep here. I'm just doing some Chinese research while
We're on the radio, by the way, just to let you know.
It's the El Paso History Alliance is a group of wonderful people that have a Facebook page, and they do a lot of work on preservations. And their Facebook page is the El Paso History Alliance Facebook page. And you got to check them out. They got a lot of great stories on preservation, history, just all things general with El Paso's history. And then you have Barbara Given Bainey and her group over there at Remember in El Paso When. That great Facebook page that's got thousands and thousands of pictures and stories and information on the region of El Paso and our local history.
I think
So
that's
check
one of the
them
better
out.
pages about El Paso.
It really is.
That was Barbara's. And
they've
she's
done a fantastic job.
she works hard at it. And they're all volunteers. Historian Barbara Given Bainey, chief admin and the owner. Other admins are Rick Duncan, Rick Nahara, and Margaret Smith, who's an historian, and Paul Louie. Moderators are Ben Vincent and Ken Wee. So we really appreciate what Barbara does. She does good work over there. All right. Have you ever looked at, you don't do Facebook? Do
Yeah.
you? Well, take a look at that one. Remember in El Paso When. Kind of an odd name, but it's got a lot of history back in there. All right. Anna Fahy is the one we're talking to here. We had all kinds of discussions that we were going to get into. And one of them was the basic idea of what did not happen in El Paso with the Chinese. And that might be a most interesting point to consider. And you had the doctors you want to talk about. Where do you want to go?
Oh boy. Well, we had talked about the dialects real quick.
Okay.
Okay. So just so people understand the importance of the different dialects, these people that came in spoke the Toisanese dialect. And
Say that again slowly.
Toisanese.
And what is that? A mixture? Or what area is that from?
These
or?
are all. It's quite literally a specific region in southern China, all down north towards the Canton region, which you can see it on any map when you go up on. You got Hong Kong, and then you can go on up, and you have Canton.
Have you ever been to China?
No.
Would you go?
Yeah, I think I would. I think you have to be very careful where you go and who you know and who you take so that you know.
Modern China is a lot different than what we're talking about here.
So that's part of the thing. That's what the folks that come in here now. So you have a map up there now. You can see, and on that map, it's probably difficult for people to see, but you can see the different regions there. And like I said, there's 5 dialects, but let's put things in perspective. Modern time, when we talk about the different dialects, these people Chinese is a tonal language. So the tone you use is how you determine what word you're saying. So Mandarin has 4 tones. Cantonese has 9 tones.
Are they similar?
Are you ready? And Toisanese has 12 tones. Now, here's the deal. The tone changes the word entirely. So think about our alphabet of 26 letters, but if you had 12 varieties of each of those letters. So it's a very complex, but they speak Toisanese, the most. But now we've got people immigrating out of the north more, more Beijing and maybe some Shanghai, but more northern. It's different. So that's just why it was so important. These folks started coming in quite literally. By 1888, we have 6 people. We have 5 physicians in El Paso.
Talk about that. You had a couple of pictures of those.
So the gentleman is pictured that is up there now is the gentleman. He was here, I know, as early as 1889, maybe a little earlier. And his advertisements are throughout the newspapers. He is here the longest. His photographs show him in traditional Chinese attire. He stays that way, but he is going to be the one that's here for the long term. He is still serving as a physician to El Pasoans, not just to the Chinese, well into, up into at least 1930. And then he does, by the 20s, he's cut his hair, he's wearing Western garb, and he makes that transition. But he's the one that's here the longest. The other gentleman, he's also this very, very popular, but look at him. What's the difference? He's wearing a Western hat.
Yeah.
He's got facial hair. He's wearing Western clothing. I cannot swear to whether he doesn't have a queue that is, his long braid under his hat. But that's the transition. And the folks that early on transitioned to wearing Western clothing in public had less problems, shall we say. They were seeing a lot of the discrimination that the Chinese experienced was people saw them, well, if you won't absorb and dress like us and talk like us and believe like us, then we don't want you. So that led to a lot of it. So they had a lot of medical assistance. This is because one of the things the railroads learned early on was these folks that they had brought in, many of them were recruited from China. So a lot of them came in with the railroads out of the San Francisco and Northern California populations. They did not trust Western medicine. So they literally got to where they would go to China and recruit, bringing in physicians. There's one of the physicians, I don't have a photograph of him up there, but he was rather colorful because I've got newspaper articles a couple of times where he was arrested because they said he didn't have a medical license.
Oh.
But they would arrest him for it, and the next week his ads were back in the paper. And
that's the way that went.
And that's the way
so
that
you got
went.
the two there that you had in NG, second word, CHE, last name HOK.
Right.
Then you WOYOU, WOYOU, CHING.
Right.
And those two guys were advertising in the El Paso
They
papers.
all were, but those were the two that I think were here. I know, they were both here a while, but the one was here like 25, maybe 30 years.
Are there Chinese doctors now that you're aware of?
There probably are. I know you see them on your signs. You drive down Mesa, you see Chinese names. So,
okay.
But yeah, they're here. But the point is, they were not unrepresented in the population.
Mm-hmm.
El Paso never segregated its Chinese population out. People go, oh, Chinatown. Well, there's different definitions. Chinatown is also the idea. Here's your community. It isn't a designated, you live in this designated geographic spot. And now that's how Chinatown refers to in El Paso. Was there a concentration downtown? Yeah, because that's where everybody concentrated.
Well, yeah.
It was downtown. That's
the
where
one
the business
section
was.
or another, yeah.
And it was during a day when a lot of people lived on the second story over their businesses. So it's not, people kind of dismiss that. And it wasn't that uncommon. Now, what they did with the laundries, like they rotated who would be on, a lot of times, who would own the laundry. But the folks lived at the laundry. That's where they worked. That's where they lived.
Sure.
So everybody that worked at the laundry lived at the laundry.
And we think that, Melissa, there's one building left.
Yeah, it's where the old La Norteña restaurant used to be in downtown near the convention center, which is in Torringuito, which is an unfortunate possible victim of being demolished eventually.
Yeah, too bad. I mean, that'd be the last building available.
Yeah, because I think it's important that people know about the culture and what the Chinese contributed to El Paso. I mean, it's a very unknown. When you mention people, they're like, El Paso? I go, no, they had a rich history.
Also, we have a question from Facebook you found, Andrew.
Yeah, we had a question from Victor Luciano Guzman, very relevant here, saying that he had a chemistry teacher who was a Chinese descendant from Chihuahua and that his great-grandfather changed his last name to Mesa. Apparently, many Chinese immigrants in Mexico changed their last names to Spanish. Wondering if you'd heard of that, Anna.
Yes. I don't know how common it was. It wasn't like, I think there were people that did. And some people changed their names to accommodate the situation that Asian names, and especially Chinese, your last name is said first. And then you have a generational name, and then you have your given name. And I think the Chews were, a prime example because they're really Yis. And so
How did that? Who knows how they did that?
Yi Wing Chu is actually Antonio and Erlinda, two very famous people here in El Paso, and they're really Yis. But he finally, somewhere in the early 30s, changed his name to Chu because everybody in what is referred to him as Mr. Chu.
Oh, well, that would work.
Because they saw that on, and he was really Mr. Yi. Okay. So that's just how.
And who knew? No, that's another question.
Yeah. And so.
Who's on first? No, don't go there.
But a lot of the ideology is that you look at what didn't happen in El Paso. Anti-Chinese leagues didn't try to force the Chinese out of El Paso. The Chinese in El Paso weren't designated you could only live here. The historic Sanborn Max bear out, they lived all over.
All right, and we'll take that up after the break here because we're going to also talk about what happened in other cities.
Okay.
And it was very different, apparently, than what happened in El Paso.
That's right.
Fair enough. You want to take some phone calls or no?
What's up?
Throw the number out there, Melissa. Let's see what happens.
You can give us a call at 915-544-5876 or 915-544-KTSM.
Pepe's New Mexico. You are listening to a break in our Facebook streaming of the El Paso History Radio Show, which airs live on KTSM AM 690 in El Paso, Texas, and live right here now on our El Paso History Radio Show page on Facebook.com.
Visit Mission Del Rey Southwest for a huge selection of El Paso souvenirs and gifts. Mission Del Rey features El Paso saddle blanket products and thousands of Southwest, Western, Native American, and Mexico items for gifts and decor. Bring your friends and mention you heard us on the radio for a store-wide discount. Mission Del Rey Southwest, 1421 Lee Trevino. Enter on Pelicano. Go to missiondelrey.com or call 915-440-2140 for Mission Del Rey Southwest.
This radio show is now streaming on the Facebook page, Remember in El Paso When, run by Barbara Given Bainey. We still archive the audio of these radio shows on ephistory.com. And you can go there online and find our radio shows for the last several years. Go to ephistory.com and access the El Paso History Radio Show archives for every Saturday radio show back to early 2016.
Many retired El Paso area homeowners don't know where to begin when it comes to downsizing and selling their home. Patrick Tuttle and his Legacy Home team follow a proven process to help retired homeowners sell faster and for more money. Call Patrick Tuttle at 915-588-1850 today and get your home sold faster and for more money. That's Patrick Tuttle at 915-588-1850. Call him today.
El Paso History TV is now available for free on YouTube.com. Take a look at recent ABC 7 news reports by Bernie Sargent on El Paso History TV about Waco tanks, the Franklin Mountains, Concordia Cemetery, and more. The YouTube channel also has more than 100 videos about El Paso history with lectures, documentaries, and various history clips. Go to youtube.com/El Paso History TV and find out how Texas history begins in El Paso. Monterey Asset Management is proud to sponsor the El Paso History Show. If you're tired of the ups and downs of the stock market, maybe you should invest in real estate. Monterey Asset manages apartments in El Paso and helps investors buy, hold, and sell property. See the new website, m1ep.com, m1ep.com. To learn more about the many benefits and long-term appreciation of investing in real estate, call Certified Property Manager Ray Baca, 915-592-4549, 592-4549.
Here's the deal. When you combine State Farm home and auto insurance, you save an average of $889. State Farm agent Ralph Dickerson is ready to help you combine home and auto and save here in El Paso. Call 915-581-0000 today. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. Average annual per household savings based on a 2019 national survey by State Farm of new policyholders who reported savings by switching to State Farm.
You are listening to a break in our Facebook streaming of the El Paso History Radio Show, which airs live on KTSM AM 690 in El Paso, Texas, and live with video right here on our El Paso History Radio Show page on Facebook.com. Our live streaming on Facebook started on November 21st, 2020, with our tribute to Leon Metz, which you can now listen to here on our Facebook page, El Paso History Radio Show. Scroll down our page to find that archive in our videos section. You are listening to a break in our Facebook streaming of the El Paso History Radio Show, which airs live on KTSM AM 690 in El Paso, Texas, and live right here now on our El Paso History Radio Show page on Facebook.com.
Visit Mission Del Rey Southwest for a huge selection of El Paso souvenirs and gifts. Mission Del Rey features El Paso saddle blanket products and thousands of Southwest, Western, Native American, and Mexico items for gifts and decor. Bring your friends and mention you heard us on the radio for a store-wide discount. Mission Del Rey Southwest, 1421 Lee Trevino. Enter on Pelicano. Go to missiondelrey.com or call 915-440-2140 for Mission Del Rey Southwest.
This radio show is now streaming on the Facebook page, Remember in El Paso When, run by Barbara Given Bainey. We still archive the audio of these radio shows on ephistory.com. And you can go there online and find our radio shows for the last several years. Go to ephistory.com and access the El Paso History Radio Show archives for every Saturday radio show back to early 2016.
Many retired El Paso area homeowners don't know where to begin when it comes to downsizing and selling their home. Patrick Tuttle.
Next week on February 5, we're going to have the topic is UTEP history and the Centennial Museum with a focus on the Bhutanese background of the university and the display on the plaza at UTEP. Our guest is Daniel Carey Whalen.
Valentine's Day is coming up, and you aren't going to want to miss this. Experience an unforgettable evening and make history with your special Valentine. Join them at Saturday, February 12th for Valentine's Day at the museum. And this is the War Eagles Museum in Santa Teresa. And what they're doing is that it's a gourmet dinner, a chance for a romantic sunset flight with Red Arrow Flight Academy, and an exclusive museum walkthrough with your Valentine. And lastly, don't remember that the night forever with a professional photographer who's going to take your picture of you and your loved one in a vintage aircraft. Call to reserve your spot. They have very few seats left. And it's 575-589-2000. But definitely give them a call or visit the website wareaglesmuseum.com.
I thought that was a unique thing we done. Just throw it out there and see what happens.
Each ticket for your meal for the couple gives you that chance to win automatically that sunset flight. I thought, how cool is that?
Oh yeah, I've flown with those people. They're good folks. Okay, Anna Fahy is here talking about Chinese history. And where do you want to go? You want to go where things did not happen in El Paso, real quick?
Yeah, real quick. I mean, they weren't confined to any geographic specific area.
Like other cities.
Right, like other cities. They weren't confronted with angry mobs. They weren't confronted by committees formed to deliberately force them out, burn them out, whatever.
Which happened in other places.
Yeah. Seattle, for instance, marched its Chinese community to the to the harbors, confiscated ships, and there were ships captains that tried to escape before because they could see them coming, forced them on ships at gunpoint while they were burning out their homes.
Oh my!
San Francisco forced them to live in a specific area, decided that real estate was too important, so they literally gave them about 2 weeks to completely relocate to another about a 4-block area that they said. And that was it. Los Angeles went in and set their Chinatown on fire. Tucson forced the residents of Tucson to be loyal. So if you were a Chinese merchant, for instance, if you either served the Anglo group or you went to another part of the city and you could only serve Hispanic.
Is that lingering today like some racism is?
No, that stuff's all gone. Tucson did a really good job. A couple, at least 2 decades, 2.5 decades now, completely going in, refurbishing and addressing their history and embracing.
I'm glad to hear that part. So
yeah, because where I lived in Los Angeles, we had Chinese, Japanese, Greeks, you name it. It was a combined mixed neighborhood, and we all lived side by side in that.
And they're
area.
kind of happy people.
Oh yeah.
Well, so see, those things do change. Glad to hear that. All right, let's talk about Pershing's Chinese in San Antonio.
Okay, well, one of the things that had happened just a year after the Chinese brought the railroads into El Paso was our Congress signed off by President Chester Arthur. Literally, the only legislation our Congress has ever passed against a specific group was the Chinese Exclusion Act. And they started off with 10 categories. If you fell into 10 categories, you could come. But what they were trying to do is prevent more labor coming in.
Why?
Who knows?
They were taking jobs that somebody else should take?
Yeah, well, we
prejudices.
Yeah, and we really don't have time to get into it. It really starts with Dennis Kearney. He was an Irish immigrant in San Francisco. He held what he called sandlot. He could take a soapbox opera, which was literally just the case of the soap came in, and give these and just work the crowds up and say the Chinese must go, the Chinese must go.
Yeah.
And here's the deal: they were in an economic downturn. Nobody wanted the jobs that the Chinese were doing, but they put all of these laws against them to prohibit them just doing the basics.
Wow.
It was very interesting. So you got to keep in mind that all that was in place, plus it got more and more restricted. They narrowed it down to 5 categories. I mean, it was like if you were a merchant, if you were a tourist, if you were an educator, and there's one other right now that escapes me, but you had to fall into one of those categories to even apply to get into the United States if you're Chinese. It gets made permanent. It's not till Franklin Delano Roosevelt's in the White House in 1943. He establishes the Mangason Act that overturns all of that, which takes a while. The problem is they set up a quota. So the quota was based on how many Chinese came in during exclusion. So you were only allowed to have 105 Chinese enter the United States a year because they based it on these exclusion populations.
Make it clear that these were basically men. The women were not brought in.
No, the women, that was the Page Act of 1877 that barred Asian women. They were just assumed that if you were bringing women in, you were bringing them in for prostitution.
Oh.
Well, plus they didn't want them to reproduce too and add more to the
population.
In Chinatown, there were women that were there.
Yeah.
El Paso, no. We really don't have hardly any Chinese women in El Paso to quite a number of years later.
Which is why a lot of the Chinese men married Mexican women.
Yeah. And they had families on both sides of the Pacific.
Oh my.
Amazing.
Yeah, they had, because a lot of times they'd get married and wave goodbye, or the guy to get a chance to go. It was really tough. One of these, it was the Scott Act, and then there was another one of the acts, the October Act, October 1st, 1888. What they did, you could get paperwork if you were here, legitimately had been recognized because you had been grandfathered in. You went to see your family in China, but they canceled the reentry certificates. So you couldn't get back in.
Oh my.
So there were people that got trapped And there was people here that couldn't go home. And so, yeah, it was not uncommon for there to be families in China, as well as when you remember when I had Mr. Yi with us 10 years ago.
10 years ago.
His father was in that, and he did not know until he came to see his father, stepped off the plane, and he had a family here. So it wasn't uncommon, but that doesn't mean that that's the way it went with everybody. Yeah.
We need to take a break here. That's what that means.
Yeah.
You see him in there breaking things?
Yeah.
That's him.
He's not breaking microphones. He's
breaking them. All right. We'll take a message or two on Facebook.
Yes. Oh, you're interested in? Oh, let's see.
You got. Well, let's
We've got
talk.
a lot. Rose Rodriguez has checked in with us this morning. Gosh, we've got James Albrecht. He was the one he'd love to find out about a Chinese railroad work camp to go metal detect. Chinese coins are some of the oldest you can find in North America.
I'd like to see those people put those in a museum and not just take them home and put them in a jar.
But it's just interesting that again, this really stirs conversations because people don't know about this history.
Oh, it's a lot of history.
And
Anna Fahy is our guest here. We really appreciate what you're doing. All right, taking a break on the El Paso History Show. Back in just a moment. M1 EP Management Corporation is proud to sponsor the El Paso. You are listening to a break in our Facebook streaming of the El Paso History Radio Show, which airs live on KTSM AM 690 in El Paso, Texas, and live right here now on our El Paso History Radio Show page on Facebook.com.
Visit Mission Del Rey Southwest for a huge selection of El Paso souvenirs and gifts. Mission Del Rey features El Paso saddle blanket products and thousands of Southwest, Western, Native American, and Mexico items for gifts and decor. Bring your friends and mention you heard us on the radio for a store-wide discount. Mission Del Rey Southwest, 1421 Lee Trevino. Enter on Pelicano. Go to missiondelrey.com or call 915-440-2140 for Mission Del Rey Southwest.
This radio show is now streaming on the Facebook page Remember in El Paso When, run by Barbara Given Bainey. We still archive the audio of these radio shows on ephistory.com. And you can go there online and find our radio shows for the last several years. Go to ephistory.com and access the El Paso History Radio Show archives for every Saturday radio show back to early 2016.
Many retired El Paso area homeowners don't know where to begin when it comes to downsizing and selling their home. Patrick Tuttle and his Legacy Home team follow a proven process to help retired homeowners sell faster and for more money. Call Patrick Tuttle at 915-588-1850 today and get your home sold faster and for more money. That's Patrick Tuttle at 915-588-1850. Call him today.
El Paso History TV is now available for free on YouTube.com. Take a look at recent ABC 7 news reports by Bernie Sargent on El Paso History TV about Waco tanks, the Franklin Mountains, Concordia Cemetery, and more. The YouTube channel also has more than 100 videos about El Paso history with lectures, documentaries, and various history clips. Go to youtube.com/El Paso History TV and find out how Texas history begins in El Paso. Monterey Asset Management is proud to sponsor the El Paso History Show. If you're tired of the ups and downs of the stock market, maybe you should invest in real estate. Monterey Asset manages apartments in El Paso and helps investors buy, hold, and sell property. See the new website, m1ep.com, m1ep.com. To learn more about the many benefits and long-term appreciation of investing in real estate, call Certified Property Manager Ray Baca, 915-592-4549, 592-4549.
Here's the deal. When you combine State Farm home and auto insurance, you save an average of $889. State Farm agent Ralph Dickerson is ready to help you combine home and auto and save here in El Paso. Call 915-581-0000 today. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. Average annual per household savings based on a 2019 national survey by State Farm of new policyholders who reported savings by switching to State Farm.
You are listening to a break in our Facebook streaming of the El Paso History Radio Show, which airs live on KTSM AM 690 in El Paso, Texas, and live with video right here on our El Paso History Radio Show page on Facebook.com. Our live streaming on Facebook started on November 21st, 2020, with our tribute to Leon Metz, which you can now listen to here on our Facebook page, El Paso History Radio Show. Scroll down our page to find that archive in our videos section. You are listening to a break in our Facebook streaming of the El Paso History Radio Show, which airs live on KTSM AM 690 in El Paso, Texas, and live right here now on our El Paso. And we're going to talk about why this week on Only in El Paso Inc. you have these stories.
Why El Paso billionaire Paul Foster is getting into the packaging business.
And a nonprofit reveals plans to renovate the historic Lincoln Center in South Central El Paso and turn it into a cultural center. What a good idea.
How service industry workers can qualify for free childcare through a new El Paso partnership.
El Paso's Business Journal is El Paso Inc. available for home or business delivery. To receive El Paso Inc., order it online at elpasoinc.com. All right, we have Anna Fahy here, and where were we headed now? You want to go someplace with this?
I wanted to
Pershing.
Follow up with now Pershing's Chinese. Pershing's Chinese are going to change the face of communities, and they come in under all that exclusion, and that's why what happened is
he saved them in Mexico,
and
brought them out of Mexico. Pershing did.
Thought he was going to be able to provision his troops as he went in on the punitive expedition, and of course, even if people were willing to help him, they weren't going to help him because then the revolutionaries would punish them. It was the Chinese that used the railroads and back roads and actually set up laundries, food services, goodies like soaps and things, and service the soldiers. When war broke out in Europe and Pershing was withdrawn from Mexico, those people were in danger because the revolutionaries were killing them in massive numbers. There was a lady that talked about her son told me the story that her family escaped on the last train out of interior of Mexico, and she remembered as a 5-year-old the telephone lines were literally strung with Chinese that had been hung.
Oh, bad news there.
And so it was terrible. And so Pershing took as many as could across from Columbus, New Mexico, and set up his troops, and they had the Chinese there. He petitioned Congress to be allowed to bring these people to the United States because of their service to his troops. It took Congress a while, but they do finally get permission. Then they take everybody in a caravan to San Antonio, and they go to various forts, U.S. Army bases in San Antonio, where while Congress decides what to do, they do eventually grant these people permanent residence status. They still can't do a lot of other things. And out of that, there were people that met and decided what to do now that they were going to be in the United States. And that brought a number of those folks now back into El Paso. Probably one of the best known is the Canton grocery store downtown El Paso. For generations, people talk about being able to get there. Yeah, and you can see inside the Canton grocery.
14, yeah.
Was the longest continuous in business Chinese grocer in downtown El Paso, and it didn't close until I would say like 1978. But there's generations, and you could go there and get your groceries. They would deliver them to you. People could go shopping on their lunch break, and it's finally when we start getting subdivisions and people, businesses start moving out of downtown, and they decide they couldn't compete where people could just drive up, park their cars, and get their groceries.
It's number 15 there, Andrew, and that's what it is today. Basically.
And if you go downtown, and you can see you may not be able to see it in that picture, but their painted ad on the side of the building is still visible. There. It's still there, and that is significant history.
A remnant of El Paso.
It really is.
All right, we have a caller, and we'll ask him to be brief, and he's going to ask you a question about Chinese in Hawaii. Raul, go ahead.
Hi. Well, I don't have a question. I just wanted to share a brief story of my experience with the little I know about the Chinese people. I worked in Hawaii one summer, and while I was there, I read the book Hawaii by James Michener, by the way, which was turned into a movie you can see for free on YouTube. And the book is just awesome.
Yes, it is.
So anyway, after Hawaii was discovered by John Cook, they wanted to turn it into plantations. The Hawaiians didn't want to do any of that work, and so the first group of people imported were the Chinese.
Ah, there you
and
go.
The Chinese started working there, and they start saving money together in a communal bank known as a hui. So they're working hard, saving their money, and then somebody says, well, I'm going to start a laundry. Okay, well, here's some money to start a laundry. Hey, I want to start a restaurant. Well, here's some money we can start that restaurant. I want to buy some land. And within one generation, they were out of the field, and they were the third largest landholders other than the original colonists and then the missionaries who showed up there. And after that, they never brought any more Chinese in there. When I was there, it was the Filipinos. And between the Filipinos and the Chinese were the Japanese, and they got out of the fields in 1 year. So the story of America is that of immigrants and all the contributions that immigrants bring to this country. And to demonize immigrants like so many people have done in the past and are still doing in the present, it's just so wrong.
You are right about that. We thank you for your call, Raul. Appreciate it. And the idea about the people in Hawaii, that's a good one. Thank you. We're going to move on here, but do appreciate you ringing up. All right. The idea of the Chinese everywhere.
Well, you know, there was a global diaspora out of China with all the turmoil that was going on between people starving to death, not being able to support their families, going to other places to make a living so they could support their families. The Chinese went places globally. You know, his talking about Hawaii, the laundry business is so interesting. These men very definitely didn't want to cook and do laundry, but here's the deal: it was a niche, and they could make money. There's interviews and references where laundries really got started because these guys that had come in with the gold rush or that were miners, they would send their clothes. They'd wait till they got enough clothes dirty, and they would put them on a ship and send their laundry to Hawaii.
Are you serious?
To get their laundry done.
Wow.
Because the alternative was what was being done locally.
Wasn't as good a quality, right?
Well, you beat the laundry against a rock, it wears your shirts out a lot fast. So they were sending their laundry initially, and that's what part of it opened up that niche to like, well, you know, we can do that. And so also here's the other thing. So when we're talking about demystifying things, in El Paso, they said, Chinese laundry put everybody else out of business. Well, I've looked through city directories, you name it, phone books, city directories, everything I can get my hands on. And there really weren't that many. And so they really didn't put people out of business to do the laundries.
Who was doing laundry? Nobody.
Well, there were
individuals.
There were Mexican women that did laundry to support their families, but it's only a handful. And so, and you know, and then when the railroads built their stations over by where we have our railroad station now, a lot of people, they moved there because they could service the railroad passengers.
Sure.
And so they opened restaurants. They just did their business wherever there was a market. But it's just fascinating how they opened these up, just like the chop houses were. It was meat and potatoes. They could satisfy the Anglo population with their meat and potatoes. Were chop houses.
Oh yeah.
And they didn't step on anybody's toes. And some of them develop into some really elaborate ones. The English cafes where all the opera and theater goers would go. All the upper class in El Paso would go to a Chinese restaurant after the opera was over. It was just fascinating. They found the niches where they could make their living without stepping on the toes of the people that were here. They weren't competing. But when they first got here, they tunneled under that original dormitory type setup and practiced their religion, if you will, their little spirits. They played their mahjong. They didn't know how the population was going to treat them. So El Paso was so different. They finally realized they weren't going to get hurt.
So they liked El Paso.
And they liked El Paso. And that's why the population grows here. The railroads were here. The opportunities were here. It was just a great place to be. They weren't as harassed. One of the people I interviewed and talked about, he always says it's not easy to be Chinese no matter where you're at. But historically, El Paso was a really good place to be if you were Chinese. Well, it doesn't mean everything was perfect.
No.
But it was a lot better.
I think El Paso is accepting in many ways because if you got here, that means you made an effort. whoever you were.
Right.
And everybody else, a lot of people were like that. A lot
Yeah.
of people came here from somewhere.
Yeah. Well,
they may have been on their way somewhere else, but they just stayed.
I would point out something that Melissa and Bernie do all the time with your Six Guns and Shady Ladies in the history. The railroads brought in every element. They brought in preachers. They brought in gamblers. They
Shady
brought
ladies,
in
yeah.
shady ladies.
Yep.
They brought in gunslingers. They brought in cattle people. But they're going back even almost into prehistoric time. If you got here across the deserts, you earned yourself a level of respect.
Yeah, it's the sort of club you got into
And
by
if
being
you
here.
got here, even if they didn't like you, there was an element that
They tolerated you.
there element of respect.
Yeah.
And so things weren't perfect, but it's like I said, what didn't
better than a lot of
happen here?
places. Yeah.
What didn't happen here?
So El Paso's always been kind of unusual in that way.
Yeah.
And it's been accepting, I think, for a lot of things. And of course, the stupidity, we talked about a bunch of it last week with the salt war. Apparently, we've gotten over that because that was in San Lazario, and San Lazario is now a nice place.
Well, and
but there's been stuff everywhere.
it's like the irony with the Irish, the Irish of all people, sitting there hitting on the Chinese with the simple fact they were so terribly discriminated when they got here. It's kind of like, did you not learn from what happened to you coming here?
You forgot what happened to you.
Yeah, I know. So it's like,
Well, there's a when the Chinese were starting to come under so much pressure in California, and then they started the railroads, and so he decided he was going to just end the argument. So he set up a crew of Chinese and he set up a crew of Irish. Okay. And let's see who does what at the end of the day.
Oh, who does the most work?
Laying rails.
Yeah. And the Irish fizzled out, got drunk. Sorry. I'm part
I'm
Irish.
that's
I can say this.
Yeah.
Had a little bit too much. Got sick more frequently.
More focused.
And quit work earlier. Started later, quit work earlier.
Yeah.
And the Chinese got up and kept going and then kept going and then kept going and then kept
Industrious.
going.
Yeah.
And finally the governor said, you know what? They built the wall of China because people tell them, they're small people. They're not very strong. But here's the deal.
Yeah.
In their separate camps, they boiled their water and had their tea. Right there. Oh, you already don't get a lot of the
the dysenteries and all the
illnesses.
Illness.
They didn't at that point. They didn't have their way. They weren't getting inebriated. They ate different. They ate healthier, and they dug in and got the job done.
More discipline.
And so that's when they made the determination initially with the first transcontinental railroad that they used so heavy of a Chinese population to build the railroads. So there's a lot of perseverance, and so much goes on. They have, but they persevered, and they sustained themselves. I wanted to add on too. I was talking about people saying that El Paso's Chinese population waned. Well, all of El Paso's population went. The populations for everybody, those numbers went down. Following World War I, there was a huge economic depression that hit El Paso. Yet elaborate homes, expensive homes sold for a fraction. So there was a lot. And there were people, think of the old World War II, World War I song says, once they've seen Paris, how do you keep them down on the farm?
Yeah, exactly.
Well, that's a little bit of what happened here because not just the Chinese, but everybody. You went to Europe, you saw the world.
Yeah.
Taking a break here at this point in the El Paso History Radio Show. Anna Fahy is here talking about Chinese. We got one more segment coming. See you after this break. Pepe's New Mexican. You are listening to a break in our Facebook streaming of the El Paso History Radio Show, which airs live on KTSM AM 690 in El Paso, Texas, and live right here now on our El Paso History Radio Show page on Facebook.com.
Visit Mission Del Rey Southwest for a huge selection of El Paso souvenirs and gifts. Mission Del Rey features El Paso saddle blanket products and thousands of Southwest, Western, Native American, and Mexico items for gifts and decor. Bring your friends and mention you heard us on the radio for a store-wide discount. Mission Del Rey Southwest, 1421 Lee Trevino. Enter on Pelicano. Go to missiondelrey.com or call 915-440-2140 for Mission Del Rey Southwest.
This radio show is now streaming on the Facebook page Remember in El Paso When, run by Barbara Given Bainey. We still archive the audio of these radio shows on ephistory.com, and you can go there online and find our radio shows for the last several years. Go to ephistory.com and access the El Paso History Radio Show archives for every Saturday radio show back to early 2016.
Many retired El Paso area homeowners don't know where to begin when it comes to downsizing and selling their home. Patrick Tuttle and his legacy home team follow a proven process to help retired homeowners sell faster and for more money. Call Patrick Tuttle at 915-588-1850 today and get your home sold faster and for more money. That's Patrick Tuttle at 915-588-1850. Call him today.
El Paso History TV is now available for free on YouTube.com. Take a look at recent ABC 7 news reports by Bernie Sargent on El Paso History TV about Waco tanks, the Franklin Mountains, Concordia Cemetery, and more. The YouTube channel also has more than 100 videos about El Paso history with lectures, documentaries, and various history clips. Go to youtube.com/El Paso History TV and find out how Texas history begins in El Paso. Monterey Asset Management is proud to sponsor the El Paso History Show. If you're tired of the ups and downs of the stock market, maybe you should invest in real estate. Monterey Asset manages apartments in El Paso and helps investors buy, hold, and sell property. See the new website, m1ep.com, m1ep.com. To learn more about the many benefits and long-term appreciation of investing in real estate, call Certified Property Manager Ray Baca, 915-592-4549, 592-4549.
Here's the deal. When you combine State Farm home and auto insurance, you save an average of $889. State Farm agent Ralph Dickerson is ready to help you combine home and auto and save here in El Paso. Call 915-581-0000 today. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. Average annual per household savings based on a 2019 national survey by State Farm of new policyholders who reported savings by switching to State Farm.
You are listening to a break in our Facebook streaming of the El Paso History Radio Show, which airs live on KTSM AM 690 in El Paso, Texas, and live with video right here on our El Paso History Radio Show page on Facebook.com. Our live streaming on Facebook started on November 21st, 2020, with our tribute to Leon Metz, which you can now listen to here on our Facebook page, El Paso History Radio Show. Scroll down our page to find that archive in our videos section. You are listening to a break in our Facebook streaming of the El Paso History Radio Show, which airs live on KTSM AM 690 in El Paso, Texas, and live right here now on our El Paso History Radio Show page on Facebook.com.
Visit Mission Del Rey Southwest for a huge selection of El Paso souvenirs and gifts. Mission Del Rey features El Paso saddle blanket products and thousands of Southwest, Western, Native American, and Mexican.
A quick reminder, remember to visit the McGoffin Home State Historic Site, 1120 McGoffin Avenue, great historic house, the only house museum in El Paso. Call for hours of operation and events. I believe they're now closed Sundays and Mondays, but ask them, 533-5147. That's a 915.
This is a great time of year to be hiking in the Franklin Mountains, and you can check out and take a Valentine Day hike, which will be February 13th at 4:30 p.m., and it's a sunset hike, and they'll be in the Upper Sunset Trail. It's a one-way trail, and you're going to hike up there, and then you're going to carpool back to your car to the south trailhead. The park and interest fee, activity fee are required. It's $8 for for adults, $13 older and up, $3, and it's $1 for smaller children. Now, and you also have two online programs that are going on the Facebook pages for Weiler Tramways. One's the Kestrel, North America's littlest falcon, and another one is a Ask the Expert Border Coalition for Fitness Walking Challenges. Do you like to like challenges?
Call
and
them
check
up.
call them up and check them out and get into. They have a team of a walking challenge coming up.
Interesting stuff there. All right, Anna Fahy, we only got you for a couple more minutes. Where do you want to go? We have an historic marker.
We have a.
Where is that?
Well, with the construction downtown, they took it down.
Oh.
I'm going to assume they're going to put it back up, but it's right there off the plaza in front of what was the old Crest.
Yeah, Crest building.
Building downtown.
They're supposed to be putting them all back up. Bernie had mentioned something about that.
And so interesting enough, the state's the one that contacted El Paso and said the Chinese in El Paso are not represented and are very underrepresented in what is available. And so I got to participate in all that. I wrote the justification paper to the state for the marker.
That's Gary Williams there with you, right?
Yeah, it's Gary Williams standing next to me. And I went down and I was there. I met the crew, stayed with the crew while they were getting everything ready, and they had just poured the concrete.
It was a great unveiling when they did it.
It was wonderful. Oh, and that was so funny because
so maybe that needs to be looked into. They need to have it back.
Right.
Well, they're planning on putting them all back, and I don't remember off the top of my head, but Bernie told me if Bernie's listening, call in. Or just tell me so I can mention it next week. Let's put it that way. Yeah. But no, they plan on putting them all back.
Yeah. And so I thought that's so significant because this is a state historical marker.
Sure.
That recognizes the accomplishments and the contributions of our Chinese heritage in El Paso from the beginning, bringing it on into the 20th century and on. Their contribution, their fresh fruit and vegetables, the truck farmers, the laundries, you name it.
Restaurants.
Over the year, the restaurants. A lot of these people are scientists now. The kids that have grown up, the children from the men that established the Canton Grocery are here. Their kids are here. The grandchildren and great grandchildren of Sam Hing are here. We have this incredible rich history. That last slide there, that those men, it was at a grocery store opening in El Paso, and I have no idea who the men are. Nobody's been able to tell me. So I'm still trying to identify who these people are. So time marches on. Thank you so much.
Anna Fahy, thank you very much. And
thanks, Anna.
It's really good of you to come in here and talk about the Chinese history, because I don't think we have a whole lot of experts on that in El Paso, but it was a good part of El Paso history and still is.
We can get her to do the book.
Yeah, well, I encourage you to write this up in a book.
Well, I need a publisher.
Yeah, well, they're around. If you want to get a hold of some people, they're there. Anna Fahy, thanks for being here, bro. Come back next week, Melissa.
Yes,
we got
are.
UT El Paso history and the Bhutanese architecture and history. So we'll see you all next week on the El Paso History Radio Show. Bye-bye.
Thanks.